warming up, that soil starting to wake up, and we are going to start seeing everywhere we turn garden centers, grocery stores, even that little section in front of HEB. They're going to be seed packets, little green seedlings whispering, "It's time." Spring gardening season is officially here. You'll also see, if you're in the Woodlands area, various seminars, workshops popping up. The township has composting classes, lawn care classes. Our local libraries, they have gardening classes. And wait, don't tune me out. Don't think this episode is going to be about being good at gardening, because let me stop you right there. I am not a gardener. I do not have a green thumb. Nothing I grow will ever be featured in a magazine. It'll never win an award or even save us money on groceries. In fact, gardening usually costs me more than it gives back, but I keep doing it anyway. And before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor, Coach Dion Basketball, the Woodlands' most dedicated coach. You can check him out at CoachDion.com. I think my love for gardening, if you can even call it a love, started when I was in second grade. My teacher started a garden club, and to this day, that remains one of the most special experiences of my childhood. We would meet on Saturdays. There was a little plot of land near her home, and we worked the soil. We planted seeds, watered them, waited, worried a little bit, and then eventually we harvested actual food. And I remember as a 7, 8-year-old being genuinely stunned. I mean, I knew intellectually that vegetables didn't appear in the grocery store just, magically, but watching something grow because we showed up for it, because we tended to it, that made it feel really personable, or personal, I guess, for me. And that was probably the first time I actually understood that small, patient work could turn into something beautiful and meaningful. So when my kids were little, I tried to recreate that feeling for them. We started with a raised garden bed, and for many years, we did some version of spring planting together. And then there were years that we didn't, years that I was just too busy, maybe too tired, too distracted, or honestly just not interested. And lately, I've scaled way back. My youngest is 11 now, and while I still know gardening matters, the reality of it looks different. For the past couple of years, we've done one small rolling bed and then a few individual pots of herbs. So let me reiterate this clearly. I do not have a green thumb. Gardening for me is messy, it's inconsistent, it's hopeful in March and absolutely abandoned by July. Right around that time, Texas heat comes in, hot, aggressive. It just scorches everything in its path. Literally by midsummer, I am over it. I stop watering, I stop caring, stop going out on the back patio. I stop pretending I'm going to revive anything. And eventually, without fail, my husband starts looking at those weeds. He looks at the overgrowth, the half-dead plants, and asks, "What do you want me to do with these?" And I say, "I don't care. I think they're all dead. I'm finished with them." I'm embarrassed to admit that, but yep, that's how it goes. He clears everything out, cleans up the pots, comes inside, and announces that the garden has officially been dealt with. And quietly in my head, I promise myself I am not doing this again next year. And yet, every single spring, here I am, ready to try again. I think the reason I keep going back to gardening, even though I'm bad at it, is because of what it gives, not what it produces. Gardening asks you to slow down, to put your hands in the dirt, to nurture something small and fragile. And when you do it with your kids, it teaches them how to care for something outside of themselves. It teaches them how to wait, to notice even the little small changes. It teaches them how to even try again when something doesn't work. Obviously, there's something grounding about it, literally and figuratively. And let me tell you this, studies even show that gardening can help lower blood pressure and reduce stress. And I believe that. Even though gardening for me, it doesn't look like those senior women kneeling surrounded by beautiful flowers in their gardens. You see it on TV. They're gently pruning, the sun shining just right, butterflies everywhere. Even if it doesn't look like that for you, there is a calm that comes from being outside, tending to something quietly with no expectation of perfection. And when something does grow, even just a little, it feels incredibly rewarding. A single tomato, and seriously, sometimes I've gone out there and there's one little cherry tomato, 1 inch in diameter, waiting to be picked. I bring that tomato in, rinse it off, pull out a cutting board and cut that tomato into 4 pieces like I'm really doing something, and I toss it into my eggs. It could be a sprig of rosemary snipped off for dinner, flowers from your yard sitting right there on the kitchen table. It's not about abundance, it's about connection. For me, rosemary is my ride or die plant. I love making focaccia. It's the easiest bread in the world, and somehow it always feels impressive. And rosemary takes it to another level. Now, if you haven't made focaccia, if you're not a bread maker, try it. I'm going to post my recipe at WoodlandsMommy.com. Go under the mealtime section, and I will have an article posted by the time you are listening to this. You can even do a search on the website for focaccia and find the recipe. Just a few ingredients is really easy. You don't need a bread maker. You don't need a stand mixer. But anyway, I love rosemary. I toss it into my roasted chicken if I'm doing a chicken, into soups, vegetables. It's just useful. And the good news is in our area, the Woodlands and greater Montgomery County, this part of Texas, rosemary can survive year round. If it's planted in well-draining soil, if it's protected during hard freezes, it can be a hardy little plant, and for someone like me, that really matters. So, if nothing else, I grow rosemary. One plant, one purpose, one small success, and that's enough. If you're listening to this thinking, I wouldn't even know where to start, let me reassure you, it is easier than you think. You can go to Lowe's, Home Depot, HEB, Ace Hardware, even your grocery store. Most of them have a little outdoor section right now with potting soil, seeds, seedlings, simple containers. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need a big yard. You don't even need a plan that lasts all summer. You could even grow something on your porch in partial shade. Some people have little herb gardens on their windowsill. Some things will thrive there, some things won't, and that's okay. And if you are gardening with your kids, it doesn't have to look complicated. For younger kids, sometimes the cool thing is simply having tools that are theirs. Little gloves that actually fit their hands, a small spade, maybe even a tiny gardening apron they can wear. And suddenly they're not just tagging along with mom, they're actual gardeners themselves. They're a part of it. Older kids might enjoy having their own plot of land or their own little bed, or maybe just a few pots that they can take ownership of, something that is clearly theirs to water, tend, and yes, occasionally forget about. But there is something empowering in that responsibility, even when it doesn't go perfectly for them. And if you're gardening solo, that's its own gift. That's your quiet moment outside, your excuse to step away from the noise, the screens, your to do list. It's just you, the dirt, the sunshine, a few deep breaths. No productivity required, just being. So here's your gentle call to action for this episode. I want you to make a list of 3 things you'd like to grow. Just 3. And next to each one, write how it would enhance your life. For example, flowers, maybe to make your kitchen table look pretty, herbs to cook with or bake into bread, a tomato plant so your kids can pick something they grow themselves. It's easy to just pick those little cherry tomatoes and pop them in your mouth. You don't need a yard full of everything under the sun. One thing is enough. So make your list of 3 and choose from that list. And plan to start growing it, whether from seeds or a seedling that you get from the store. And plan to grow it sometime within the next few weeks. Now, I'm not going to get into climate and when to grow what. I don't know what time or when you'll be listening to this actual podcast episode. So just do a quick Google search and figure out what is great to plant at that particular time or at this particular time, the time that you're listening, and get busy. And if you mess it up, you can always start again. That's the beauty of gardening. There's always another season. If this episode encouraged you, I would love for you to tell me what you're growing this spring. And if all you grow is the intention to try, that counts too. Thank you so much for being here, friend, and I will see you next time on Mom Life in the Woods.